Welcome back. Let us see how to find the minimum and maximum element from a given set of n elements by using the divide and conquer approach. Generally, if we follow the straightforward approach, that is without using the divide and conquer method, as illustrated in this function straight max min, we have to use the for loop. So starting from the second element onwards until the last, we need to check every element and see which is larger. So given an input array of any data type of size n, we are going to have the max value of the element being stored in the variable max and minimum value stored in the variable min. Initially, we are going to have the first element as the maximum as well as minimum value. So we are going to initialize both max as well as min variables with the value of the first element in the array, that is a of 1. Now starting from the second element until the last, we are going to check each and every element and see if the ith element that we are considering is larger than the element which is already present in the variable max. If at all it is larger, we are going to reassign the value of the ith element as the new max value. Similarly, if we find the ith element is lesser than the already assigned minimum value to the variable min, then we need to reassign the ith element in the array A as the minimum value. In the function straight max min, we require a total number of comparisons as 2 times n minus 1, be it the best case, average case or the worst case. You know what is the meaning of best, average and worst case? It is that input for which the algorithm or function runs the fastest is the best case. That input for which the algorithm or function takes the longest time to execute, that is the worst case. An average case lies between the best or the worst case. Now suppose we replace the for loop contents in the previous function straight max min as if a of I greater than max, then max is equal to a of I. Else if a of I is less than min, then min is equal to a of I. So that means we are going to have a fewer number of comparisons. Now if we replace these two statements in the for loop, then the best case occurs when the elements are in increasing order, that is small to biggest element. Here the number of comparisons made will be just n minus 1, whereas the worst case we are going to make the same number of comparisons, that is 2 times n minus 1. An average number of element comparisons, that is for the average case input, will lie somewhere between or lesser than 2 times n minus 1. Now let us see how the divide and conquer algorithm will be done to find out the same problem, that is minimum and maximum for a given list of n elements. So if p is equal to, that is n is the number of elements in the array and the array starts from I until the index j. So we are going to define this as an arbitrary instance of the problem. So we have to define what is the smallest instance of the problem. Now in this case of finding the minimum and maximum, small p is true when either n is equal to 1 or n is equal to 2 elements. That means we do not have to divide the problem into sub-problems. In case there is only one element, both max and min will be the ith element or the single element that is there. Whereas if n is equal to 2, that means there are two elements, then only one comparison is sufficient to determine both the max and min values. If not, that means if n is more than 2, then we are going to divide the problem p into smaller instances. So we will divide equally into two parts. So first instance will be P1 with number of elements as n by 2, and the array starts from A1, A2 until A of n by 2. And similarly, another subproblem P2, the number of elements is n minus n by 2, and it starts from A of n by 2 plus 1. It goes on until the nth element, that is A of n. Once the solutions for subproblems P1 and P2 are found, then we need to combine the solutions in order to obtain the solution to the original problem P. So if max P and min P represent the maximum and minimum values of elements for the problem P, then what is the value that we give to max P? We are going to find out which is the larger of maximum of subproblem P1 and subproblem P2. Whichever is larger, that we are going to assign as the maximum value of the original problem P. Even for the minimum value of the main original problem P, we need to find out whichever is smaller, min of subproblem P1 or min of subproblem P2. So max min is representing a recursive function in order to find the minimum and maximum element by using the divide and conquer approach. So we have two indices I and j. I represents the index of the first element in the array and j represents the index of the last element. So we should identify what are the small problems. So when I and j are equal, we know that there is only one element in the set. Whereas if the value of I is 1 less than the value of j, that is I is equal to j minus 1, then we know that the number of elements is only 2. For sets containing more than 2 elements, we need to subdivide the problem into subproblems. So 2 maximum and minimum values of these subproblems are obtained, that we need to compare in order to obtain the maximum and min values for the original problem. That is the initial input set of elements. So when we call this function initially, I value will be 1 and j value will be n. That means we are going to find the solution to the entire set of elements starting from first element until the nth element. So I and j are referring to positions, so both are integers. Type, as we have seen, type is nothing but it could be integer, it could be float, etc. based on the type of array that you are going to pass when calling the max min function. This is a reference ampersand max. So we are going to create reference variable, so max and min, in order to store the values of maximum and minimum elements. Let us see what is the instance where we have only one element. When the value of I is equal to j, that means we have only one element. So which is max and which is min? Both will be max and min, the same value. So max is equal to min is equal to a of I itself. Now suppose I is equal to j minus 1. So else if I is equal to j minus 1, one of the elements is minimum, one of the elements is maximum. So we have to do a comparison. If the ith element is smaller than the jth element, that means ith element is the min value and jth element is the max value. So max is equal to a of j and min is equal to a of I. If this is false, that means ith element is larger than jth element, then max will be a of I and min will be a of j. Else, that means if the number of elements is more than 2, then we need to divide problem P into subproblems. So we are going to find the mid value. So I plus j by 2 is going to give us the mid position. And we are going to define two more extra variables, max 1 and min 1. Why? We are going to have solutions to two subproblems. So max and min will contain the solutions of subproblem 1, whereas we want for subproblem 2 some other place where we can store the max and min values. So we define two different variables. So now we have found the mid value. we are going to call the max min function starting from the element I, so initial value is I, until mid element, and the values will be stored at max and min. For the second sub problem, the array starts from mid plus 1 position and goes on until the jth element, and this maximum and minimum values are stored in variables max1 and min1. After having found the solution to both these sub problems, then we need to find among these two sub problems which is the largest value for max and which is the smallest value for min. So if max is lesser than max1, what does it imply? Then max should be replaced with max1. So max is equal to max1. If minimum is greater than min1, then min has to be replaced with the min1 value. So in this example, there are 9 elements starting from index 1 until index 9. So 22, 13, minus 5, minus 8, 15 until 47. These are the elements from which we should find out the minimum as well as the maximum element. So let us see how the function is being called. So by using this function, which we have already discussed, we are going to show how the recursive calls are made in order to find out the max and min. So we will build a tree to represent the recursive calls, where each node is going to represent a new call made to the function. So each node will have 4 items. What are those? The I and j index as well as the max and min values. Now let us see how to build the recursive tree. So we are going to start with initial value of 1 and n is nothing but 9. In this entire list, the largest value is 60 and the least value is minus 8. Now when a call is made in order to find the max and min for the entire set, we have to divide into sub problems because the problem is where n is larger than 2. So how it is done? By finding out the mid value. So mid is nothing but 1 plus n, I plus j by 2, that is 1 plus 9 by 2, that is 10 by 2 is equal to 5. So first sub problem will have I value is 1, j is nothing but the mid value, and this 22 and minus 8 are representing the max and min values from this set of elements starting from the array with index 1 until the middle element, that is 5. Now the sub problem 2 will start from mid plus 1 until n, that is 9, and we find out that 60 and 17 are the largest and the least values. Once again we find that these are not small problems, so we need to subdivide this problem. So again the mid is found out, 1 plus 5 by 2, that is 3, 6 by 2. So starting from first element until 3, and these are the min and max values in that case, whereas the others will be mid plus 1, so 4 until that value, that is 5, and 15 is the max value and minus 8 is the min value from these elements. Similarly, this sub problem also will be further subdivided. When does this recursive call continue? That means you are subdividing once again as long as you have more than 2 elements. Now in this case you found out the mid as 2. So element starts from 1 until 2, and here element starts at 3 and also ends at 3. So what do you infer? I is equal to j minus 1, that is 2 minus 1, that means the number of elements is only 2. So directly without making any recursive call, you are going to find the values of 22 and 13. So further you are not going to make any call to the function. Here when I and j both are equal, what does it mean? There is only one item, and what does it mean? Max and min are the same values, so minus 5. So how do you get the solutions? So first you get the solution of this sub problem, then you get the solution of this sub problem. So we are representing it as node numbers, the order in which we are going to get the solution 1, 2. When both these are obtained, then I will get a solution to this problem. So that is 3. 4 represents later I get a solution to this. After both 3 and 4 are obtained, I can get solution to 5. Similarly, 6 and 7 together, after obtaining them only, I can get the value of subproblem 8. After getting both 5 and 8, then only I get the final value, that is the solution to the main problem, original problem. So last I get this solution. So we have seen how the tree of recursive calls looks like. So the root node contains I is equal to 1 and j is equal to 9, corresponding to the initial call of the function max-min. This in turn makes two new calls to max-min where I and j have values. We have seen how to find the mid. So from I to mid and then mid plus 1 to j. Then this set is split into two subsets of approximately the same size. So the maximum depth of recursion in this example is 4. So what are the circle numbers representing for each node? That is given in the upper left corner circle. They represent the order in which the max and min are assigned values for those sub-problems. Let us analyze the max-min function. So T of n represents the number of comparisons made while executing the max-min function. So the recurrence relation T of n is given as, we are going to divide into two sub-problems, right? So T of n by 2, number of comparisons in order to find the min and max for half the elements, and the time required, number of comparisons in order to solve T of n by 2. And when merging the two solutions, we are making two comparisons. So this is 2. So this is for larger instances of the problem, that is when n is greater than 2. So when n is equal to 2, how many comparisons you are going to make? Only one comparison, and when there is only one element, no comparison is made, so it is 0. So if n is a power of 2, that is n is equal to 2 to the power of k, where k is a positive integer, then the recurrence relation is T of n is equal to, this is 2 times T of n by 2 plus 2. So we can substitute n is equal to 2 to the power of k. So 2 times T of 2 to the power k by 2 plus 2. Now this y we represent in order to find this solution. So 2 to the power of k minus 1. So 2 times T of 2 to the power k minus 1 plus 2. Now go on substituting by using the backward substitution. So each time you replace k with k minus 1. So we have 2 into 2 times T of, if I replace k with k minus 1, I get 2 times k minus 2 plus 2 and this original plus 2. So it is nothing but 2 into 2, 2 squared, T times 2 of k minus 2 plus 2 squared plus 2. Once again, if I replace k with k minus 1, 2 squared into 2 times T of k minus 3 plus 2, then this 2 squared and this 2, which is nothing but 2 cube into T to the power of 2 k minus 3 plus 2 cube plus 2 squared plus 2, and this continues. So finally, where do you end? Now we have taken general substitution, that is this k value we have written it as in terms of, that is 3, 2, 1, we have written in terms of I. So T of n is equal to 2 to the power of I, T of 2 to the power k minus I plus 2 to the power of I plus, like this until 2. So let us try to find a final solution now. So we will get the solution when the two base conditions are given, either T of 2 or T of 1 we know. So we are trying to use T of 2. So let us try to get this as T of 2. For what value of I we get this as T of 2? When we take I is equal to k minus 1. So 2 to the power of k minus 1 into T of 2k minus k minus 1. So minus k plus k gets cancelled, only we are left with 2 to the power of 1 plus 2 to the power of k minus 1 until 2. So what is T of 2 to the power of 1? That is T of 2. Number of comparisons is only 1. So 1 into 2 to the power of k minus 1 that is 2 to the power k minus 1 plus 2 to the power of k minus 1 plus all these values until 2. Now we have solved this value. So this is, you know, some of the mathematical formulas, 2 squared, 2 cube, etc. until 2 to the power of n. What is the formula? So it is nothing but 2 to the power of n. Since we have one value less in the formula we included, so we deduct this value minus 2. So 2 to the power of k minus 1 plus 2 to the power of k minus 2. So 2 to the power of k plus, you can solve this. This is nothing but 2k by 2 plus 2k minus 2. Take the common denominator and check. We get 3 times 2k by 2 minus 2. Put back 2 to the power of k as n. So we get 3 times n by 2 minus 2. You should know how to solve this. So the best average and worst case number of comparisons when n is a power of 2 is the same value, that is 3n by 2 minus 2. So divide and conquer approach is giving you an optimal solution for finding the max and min used by this approach. That is, it is using 25% of comparisons lesser when compared to the straightforward method. So no algorithm based on comparisons is using lesser than 3n by 2 minus 2 comparisons. So max min function that we have defined is an optimal or one of the best ones. So what is the worst case? Max min is worse than straightforward algorithm when in terms of storage, because it requires more space. So it requires stack space for the variables I, j, max, min, max 1 and min 1, because when you know recursion is involved, we need more space on the stack to store some values. So given n elements, there will be log n to the base 2 plus 1 levels of recursion and 7 values for each recursive call that needs to be stored along with the return address. So storage is going to be required more, hence max min in terms of storage is not a good one. So what are the advantages of the divide and conquer method? So by using the divide and conquer method, those problems which are very difficult to solve, such as the Tower of Hanoi problem, we are able to solve it. Why? This method is going to reduce the degree of difficulty because it divides the problem into sub-problems which are easily solvable. And also it uses memory cache, that is the sub-problems become simple and you need not have to access the main memory, which takes more time in order to access the main memory. Hence your algorithms become more efficient. The disadvantages of divide and conquer method: since it is based on recursion method by using recursive calls, recursion process is slow. Also it becomes more complicated when the value of n is large, and since you are breaking down into sub problems and the recursion is involved, more and more variables need to be stored onto the stack. So maybe by using a non-recursive approach, you can get a solution which does not require more amount of stack memory. Strasson's matrix multiplication. So we have two matrices A and B which are n cross n matrices. We need to find out the product matrix represented as C, which is A into B, and the resultant product matrix will also be an n cross n matrix. So how do you find each and every element in this product matrix C? So element in the ith row, jth column for any value of I and j between 1 and n. So we know the normal multiplication how it takes place. So the element from the matrix A, that is on the ith row kth column, into the element in the matrix B, which is on kth row and jth column. This if we add, we are going to get an element of the matrix C. So totally in this method we require n multiplications in order to compute the product matrix C. So the time for resulting matrix multiplication is theta of n cube. Using the divide and conquer method to compute the product of two n cross n matrices, we need to assume that n is a power of 2. In case n is not a power of 2, that means we need to add additional elements of 0 in order to make the matrix into a matrix of dimension which is a power of 2. So A and B are partitioned into 4 square submatrices, and each submatrix will have a dimension of n by 2 cross n by 2. In this case, the product AB can be computed by the formula for the product of 2 cross 2 matrices. So if AB is given as A11, A12, A21 and A22, that is the 4 square submatrices, and B11, B12, B21 and B22 another 4 square submatrices to get the resultant product matrix C. So C of 1, 1, the product matrix, this value of C of 1, 1 is nothing but A11 into B11 plus A12 into B21. Similarly, C12, C21, C22 are formed by using the formulas that we know for the normal multiplication. So if n is equal to 2, you can apply the formula directly. So when n is greater than 2, then the elements of C will be computed by using matrix multiplication and addition operations, which will be applied to matrices of size n by 2 cross n by 2. Because n is a power of 2, the matrix product can be recursively computed by calling the same function used for the n cross n case. The algorithm will be applied itself to smaller instances, that is smaller submatrices, as long as n becomes small, that is you need not have to subdivide and directly get the product. To compute AB using the formula given in 3, we need 8 multiplications of n by 2 cross n by 2 matrices and 4 additions of n by 2 cross n by 2 matrices. The time taken for adding 2 n by 2 cross n by 2 matrices is C of n squared. C is some constant. So the computing time represented as T of n by using the divide and conquer algorithm is represented by the following recurrence relation. B for smaller instances, that is when n is 1 or 2, and otherwise 8 times T of n by 2 plus C of n squared. Time taken for 8 multiplications and time taken for addition, that is C of n squared. B and C are constants. So this recurrence, if you solve, will give you T of n is equal to order of n cube, which is same as the normal matrix multiplication which we have already seen. That is whatever the regular method which you have studied in mathematics. Matrix multiplications being order of n cube are more expensive than additions because the time required will be a little less. So we need to try to reformulate the equations in order to find the elements of matrix C that possibly uses lesser multiplications and maybe more additions and subtraction. So Strassen discovered a way to compute the C of ij by using only 7 multiplications and a total of 18 subtractions or additions. 18 is a total count of subtractions as well as additions. So first we need to compute the 7 n by 2 cross n by 2 matrices P, Q, R, S, T, U and V. So he has defined these submatrices by using this formula. So P is nothing but A11 plus A22 into B11 plus B22. Q is equal to A21 plus A22 into B11. R is equal to A11 into B12 minus B22. Similarly, these values. So finally, C of ij is computed by using the formula C11 is nothing but P plus S minus T plus V. C of 12 is nothing but R plus T. C21 is equal to Q plus S, and C of 22 is P plus R minus Q plus U. So P, Q, R, S, T, U and V can be computed with 7 matrix multiplications and 10 matrix additions or subtractions. And here, in order to find C of ij, here we are going to make use of additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 additions and 2 subtractions, that is totally 8. So 8 additions or subtractions. So the recurrence relation for finding out the product matrix C, T of n is equal to B for n is equal to 1 or 2, and 7 times T of n by 2 plus A of n squared. A is a constant for n greater than 2. According to the master theorem, if T of n is equal to A of T times n by B plus order of O of n power D, so A, B and D are some constant values, we can define the 3 cases. So we can say that T of n is belonging to which value. So if A is equal to B power D, that means A is equal to B power this D, then we can say that it is T of n is in the order of O of n power D log n. If A is less than B power D, then it is nothing but order of n power D. And if A is larger than B power D, then it is n log of A to the base B. So if we apply this to this recurrence relation which we have seen, this is A. So the value of A as seen in the master theorem is 7 and B is 2, and here D is 2. So this falls under the case A greater than B power D, which is 7 is greater than 2 to the power of D, because D is also 2. So we get order of n log of 7 to the base 2, which is approximately equal to order of n to the power of 2.81, which is better than the normal n cube with more number of multiplications.